And like every Tuesday, we are here with my program, Doctors with a Difference, which we are bringing to you in cooperation with Prayas Sevankur Amravati. Own Your Growth, a team of BNYS Medico students from across the country, as well as Kalya Health. Every Tuesday, we meet a doctor who is doing something differently in their areas. And today, we are very happy to have Dr. Bharat Shah. Dr. Bharat Shah is a postgraduate in pediatrics from Baroda Medical College, and he served as a pediatrician initially and then worked in the community for reducing the infant mortality rate in the villages near Jagadia, Gujarat. During this entire work, he also identified and was fascinated with the ability of nature to heal. And that is where his journey in complementary and alternative medicine and holistic health began. Today, Dr. Bharat Shah is the director for one of the largest naturopathy hospitals, holistic healthcare centers in the Gujarat, called Nisargopchar Kendra, Vinoba Ashram at Gotri, Vadodara. I welcome Dr. Bharat Shah during this program that we have every week. Namaste, sir.
Namaste, Abar.
And it's really heartening to see somebody who is trained with conventional medicine and practicing holistic healthcare. Thank you very much for being a role model for a lot of youngsters here. For those of you who don't know, there are at least a few BNY's doctors working with Dr. Bharat Shah in his hospital. Namaste very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Abar.
So, sir, I would like to know why what was the thought behind joining the medical curriculum during your early days? What was the inspiration or motivation that brought you to medicine?
Thank you, Abar. Well, in those days, I completed my graduation and post-graduation in 94. So I joined my medical college in 85. And at that time, uh, those who scored high in 12th exam, they had nearly two options, either go for engineering or go for medical. So that was a routine. And for me also, I was getting in electronics engineering also. At that time, computer engineering was not there. Electronics engineering was at the peak. And I had two options, either to go for electronics engineering or to go for medical college. And uh, I never had any thought about going for private practice in medicine. But we used to go to a Swamiji, whom we believed a lot. And he also used to advise us in our family matters. So one day we had gone there with my father, and we were just discussing about my results in 12th. And he just categorically said that no, you have to go to for medicine only.
Okay.
My my father, he worked his life in Bhudan movement and Sarvodaya movement.
Okay.
Sarvodaya is a thought that was flown by Gandhiji and basically working for the society. And he said, suppose if you want to earn money, you can also earn a lot after doing medical practice, after graduating in medical college. And if you want to serve the society, and that option will also be open. So you have to go for medical line only. And that was maybe at that moment of time, we never had to think again. But I never repent my decision. I really feel that that decision that was taken at that time was really a worth. It is
Wonderful.
fulfilling for me at this stage of time.
I think this is a common thing that we are listening from most of the doctors whom we are meeting. This is the fifth session, and everybody tells that they have been something that they have achieved good academically in their plus two, and then medicine was a natural choice then.
Yeah.
So, during your medical college, were there some interesting incidences or something that you would like to share with our viewers here?
Yeah. Well, medical college, by and large, was not of much of events. Uh, as a sincere medical student, we had lot to read and I was not very much fond of getting in social activities or other activities. But we
Okay.
had a very good group from my undergraduates. It was known as MMA, Medicos Medicare Association, and
Okay.
we used to run a clinic right from our second MBBS year
Hmm.
in a clinic in a slum.
Okay.
It was started by our seniors, and a group of seniors used to go there regularly, and they also used to involve the juniors so that the flow could continue and we could run a good clinic there in the slum. And that
Okay.
was really uh, motivating for me. I learned also a lot about the medical practice, regular medical practice, and clinical practice, and all, and was also exposed to the problems in the poor community in the slum, in the
Hmm.
city slum, and all that. So that was really good for me.
So, tell us more about your work after your post-graduation in pediatrics, and you were working with the community.
Yeah,
How was it like to work in the field after you became a doctor?
yeah. See, once you pass out through medical college, uh, you tend to believe that the only scientific way to treat a person is modern medicine. It is like a brainwash. Though my childhood was spent in a naturopathy center, my father and my mother were working in the same naturopathy center where I am working at present. And but I never thought of going to naturopathic line or stream. After I graduated and did my post graduation, then I joined. I worked initially in pediatric hospital in Vadodara to gain some more experience. And then I joined a tribal hospital in a tribal area in Jagadia near Vadodara. And there we used to practice regular allopathic medicine. Children used to come at our place. I was working in a hospital there. And we also established a neonatal care unit because at that time in that hospital there was no facility for neonatal care, newborn care. And we developed a primary level of NICU, intensive care unit for the neonates there in the hospital.
So,
So
yes, sir.
yeah, so we were doing regular treatment and all that. But in later part of my career, or rather a job, I realized that whatever we were doing was at a superficial level, but the treatment we were doing at a superficial level. We used to give medicines to the persons coming for the treatments, and we felt that they are getting better. Of course, they used to get good relief, and they again used to come after maybe few weeks or few months and all that. So that kept me thinking about different alternatives. But it was really good experience there because I also started working in the community area.
Hmm.
And at that time, neonatal mortality rate in that area was really high, and we decided that we will work for this. So I also got involved with community health workers, training them. We also prepared certain booklets and educational materials to train
Hmm.
those community workers. And our basic idea or approach to reduce infant mortality rate was to refer them, the sick children, early into the hospital.
Okay.
So to identify neonates with problems
Hmm.
and to train those Anganwadi workers and health workers how to identify about the high risk
Hmm.
and to refer them to the hospital so that we can manage them properly in the hospital. And that is how we could reduce infant mortality rate.
Oh, that was really wonderful. I'm sure there would have been a lot of learning for you in the process. definitely from the community as well.
Yeah, sure.
So from there, you had your practice, you were working in the community. How did you switch to a very different approach of from giving drugs and treating people to a absolutely different method of looking at healthcare, that was naturopathy? What were the turning points, or what were the experiences because of which you shifted your approach?
Yeah, basically, as I shared with you, in during the later part of my job there, I was thinking that whatever we are doing at a very superficial level, the treatment is going on, but we are not really curing the person. So I kept on searching for alternatives and kept on reading, and maybe probably the seeds of alternative healthcare system were there in my mind, because my mother used to work in a naturopathy center,
Mhm.
and we also used to meet people when I was studying medical college. Many people used to come here. They used to arrange for workshops and other things. So we really had dialogue with them. And at that time, I never thought about naturopathy as a scientific system of medicine. But probably after realizing that whatever we are doing was at a superficial level, I kept on thinking about uh, alternatives. And then I decided that I should at least explore other systems of medicine. And I decided for four different systems.
Mhm.
I took 1 year break from my job there and decided to visit various places and read about certain systems of medicine. And my focus I kept was for four different systems. One was Ayurveda, other was naturopathy, third was yoga, and the fourth was medicinal plants other than Ayurveda.
Mhm.
So I searched about various kinds of institutions that were working in these four fields and started visiting them, talk to those persons working there and learn from their experiences. Also started studying on my own. During that time, I also visited Prashanti Kutiram there. It was
Okay.
90, 94, 95, 96 probably, 95.
That would have
Sorry,
been a very
99.
early, yeah, it would
99,
have been
yeah.
very early time in, development of Vyasa.
Yeah. At that time, it was not as Vyasa. It
Yes.
was
Vivekananda Research Foundation.
Yoga Research Foundation, yes.
Yes.
And I also met Nakaratna ji and Nagendra ji, and also visited various institutions working in the field of all these four areas.
Mhm.
And then I realized that people have been working in the field of Ayurveda and they get good results in chronic disorders. People have been working in the field of naturopathy and they get good results. People have been working in the field of yoga. Like at that time, uh, Yoga Research Foundation, they used to keep their patients and they used to provide yoga therapy and simple food. And I saw that there are very good results also, even with these simple things. And people have been giving medicinal plants and getting good results. So why not to integrate good part of each system of medicine and do something better for the patients, which is less harmful, which can they can do it on their own. They can have control of their health problems on their own and all that. And then after that, initially I started working for integrative medicine, but still my base was allopathy.
Mhm.
So based on allopathy, I used to integrate other systems like medicinal plants, or I used to refer some patients to Ayurveda or some advice about naturopathy with whatever knowledge I had after reading about naturopathy and yoga. Also started advising something about yoga and all that. That was my beginning with naturopathy. And then somehow it was also accidental that I came to naturopathy. I never, even at that moment of time, also, I was not interested to work for just naturopathy. But
Mhm.
it was some coincidence, and it was probably I would say, responsibility for the organization where I was working.
Mhm.
There was a naturopathy center, and they could not find a good doctor, and it was about that they had to close that particular center. So I thought that I will give 1 year to support the doctors at that naturopathy center, and I started getting involved with that naturopathic activity there. But that 1 year was changing for me. I could see that the patients are getting wonderful results with simple food change, simple treatments, and simple yoga therapies and all that. And then I realized that this should be my base. And then whatever I want to integrate further, I can definitely do it with this naturopathy as a base and other things on top of it. So that year was changing for me. And after that, my confidence in naturopathy has kept on increasing. And now I believe that this is one of the best system of medicine to practice if you really want to help the patients.
That is very encouraging coming from you, sir. What was the role of the readings that you were sharing, or the travel that you have had, or exploration that you have had, or probably even friends or family who interacted with you during the entire phase? How that has contributed to the change of the whole perspective in your case?
Yeah. I also used to read about various studies that were being done in field of alternative healthcare. And one of the very important study that I could found in those days was that of Dean Ornish.
Absolutely.
Probably many of you might be knowing about his work now. He's very famous now. But in early 90s, this was something which really changed my mind. He never informed about word naturopathy, but if you look at his whole program, it is all naturopathy and nothing else. He talks about vegetarian diet, low-fat diet, exercise, stress management, emotional stress management, and with these simple things, he could prove that heart disease, which till then was it was told in the medical science that it can't be reversed and the only option you have is just bypass or angioplasty. But he could prove with the most modern investigations that it is reversible. You can actually reverse the atherosclerotic process with simple change in lifestyle. After that, he has done many other studies also, but that was really changing for me. And I could see that even while I was working in naturopathy center, I could see the results myself. We could help patients with heart disease. We could actually reverse diabetes with naturopathic treatment, and we could reverse many other diseases like autoimmune disorders, psoriasis, asthma. And the beauty was that you give almost the same program, and people with various diseases get better with this. So what you require is obeying simple rules of a lifestyle, natural lifestyle, and you get the result. So it is so simple.
I think you made very important points there. Obeying the simple lifestyle measures is something that helps in most of these conditions. And we now definitely understand, the modern science definitely understands that how much of impact does lifestyle have on the kind of health that we're talking about. And those of you, my viewers who have not read about Dr. Dean Ornish, one of the most famous lifestyle physicians everybody has seen. In 1980s, he was the first one to demonstrate through a randomized controlled trial that heart diseases can be reversed with the lifestyle that sir was talking, which essentially is the lifestyle that we recommend in yoga and naturopathy. So please do read. There is a very famous book written by him, and millions of copies have been sold. So I think there are a lot of people who are inspired by Dean Ornish's work and switching to lifestyle medicine.
True. That is the power of research, Apar.
Absolutely.
People used to practice naturopathy in India and abroad also. But this particular research has changed mind of many people who really want to work in a scientific way. So this is,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And Dean Ornish was there in 1980s, 1990s. I think very recently, Roy Taylor and group from UK is talking of diabetes reversal. And again, what they are demonstrating is simple lifestyle modification, food, exercise, and the stress management is playing a role in diabetes reversal as well.
True.
So,
In
sir,
fact,
yes, sir, please.
yeah, in fact, our body is highly complex system. And even after so much of research in anatomy and physiology and various diseases, see, I would frankly admit that no one has been able to find out how the body works exactly. It is not possible. It is so complex system. But the best part is that you follow simple rules of natural living and you get better. What you require is to understand what the body demands or what it wants, and you just give it. That is as simple as that. So even for, see, now people say that with each thought and each emotion, there are more than 1,000 different types of chemicals that are released in our brain and in our body, and which each thought, the relative concentrations keeps on changing. So it is like a 24-hour pharmacy, open pharmacy within our body and brain. And if you just separate out each of these chemicals, it is, I mean, mind boggling. You just don't know how does it work and where does it work and all that. But everything works in harmony. And what you need to do is just to keep your mind uh, quiet, try to keep your mind quiet, manage your stress, and purify your emotions. And if you have positive emotions and peace of mind, you get positive results. If you go for stress or negative emotions, and you get negative results, it is as simple as that. So though the body is highly complex system or mechanism, the best part is that we need to understand and obey simple things in our life, and it makes wonders.
I think very nicely put up. Although there is so much complexity, following simple lifestyle can be the best way to maintain health as well as promote health, also to prevent health problems and manage them.
And not only that, even to reverse disease also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It is definitely possible. We should not, I mean, shy away from that. We can definitely play a big role in even reversal of disease also.
Wonderful to hear that, sir. From your vast experience, you have been in the area working for more than 25 years now. Would you be able to tell us with some examples, some cases which were very interesting or inspiring to you, or which were learning lessons for you, so that you know how some changes that we do in our lifestyle can really modify things? So, could you give us
Uh,
some examples that way?
yeah, yeah. In fact, uh, patients have taught me a lot, I would say, because in the initial part, I was also not very much confident about naturopathy. But when I saw the results, I used to monitor them with modern parameters. And with whatever little understanding I had about naturopathy and natural lifestyle, I used to advise them. Of course, there were other doctors also, naturopath or Ayurvedic doctors, and I used to support them. But I could see that with just simple things, they started giving the patients, the results were wonderful. And that really inspired me to work for naturopathy. I would also say that in routine naturopathic centers, we focus more on diet. With my own understanding, we have also started working more on mind and emotions. And I would say mind and emotions play much bigger role than our diet. I would say that I had one patient with rheumatoid arthritis, and she was on treatment from an allopathic physician. She knew about me, came to me, and when I took her history, I could quite relate her problems with the stresses that she was suffering in her family. There were some issues in her family, and I felt that that was the root cause. And initially, we continued those medicine. I also advised her about the dietary changes and all, but started working on the issues. And of course, we cannot solve the issues in the family, but how she responds to those issues, that was important for us. And we started counseling her, and we started giving her certain tools to manage her mind and purify her emotions and all that. And gradually, over a period of months, she started feeling better. Her dose for the medicine started reducing gradually. This was all on OPD basis. She never got admitted in a naturopathy center, even for a single day. She just changed her diet and started working on this. And suddenly, after that, she did not come to me for 3-4 months. After that, she came to me once and said that I have come, I am perfectly well. I have come to just say thank you to you because my all medicines have been discontinued. In spite of that, even after 3 months of discontinuation of medicine, I am perfectly well. And more than that, I have learned how to live a healthy life and also how to love others in spite of others having problem with me or negativity with me. I knew how to love others, and probably I would say that that feeling has cured her more than anything else. So it is not just that. Of course, our focus here in our naturopathy center is on basics of naturopathy, like change in diet. We use fasting a lot, juice diet, fruit diet. We are also using fasting a lot. Probably there are very few centers in India that really focus on fasting and apply fasting. Last year, there was a patient who was on fasting for just pure water fasting for 29 days at a stretch continuously. We, of course, monitored that patient and gradually started her on liquid diet and other things. But fasting also gives immense benefit. So basics of naturopathy, which includes changing diet, fasting, working on mind, emotions, detoxifying treatments, physiotherapy, and that I think that is how we work, and it really pays well.
I think fasting, there has been substantial work in recent times.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of scientific evidence about how fasting can contribute to longevity, increasing the lifespan, and how it can prevent degenerative disorders and metabolic syndromes and all of that. So I will ask your comment on fasting just in a while. Before, I would like to tell my viewers about another wonderful physician who has written a book called as Love, Medicine and Miracles. It is an American oncologist who has written about how cancer is related to emotions of an individual. And that is one point that Dr. Bharat Shah has pointed out here, that we will have to work on not just at the physical level by modifying food or administering therapies, but also work at a higher level of mind. And unless we modify our mind, I think the superficial things may not be able to help as much as it will when we are combining both the things together.
Apar, I would like to add something more in this line also. There
Please,
is
please.
there is one more experience about Anita Murzani. Probably some of you might have heard about her, Anita Murzani. She is, a lady living in Hong Kong, and she suffered from end-stage lymphoma. She has written a book, Dying to be Me. She passed through an experience. It was a unique experience. And after that, she realized that the cause of her cancer, lymphoma, was she was not loving herself and she was living out of fear. And the experience was so profound, so strong that she could change her emotions. And she came out of her lymphoma just within 5 weeks without any medicine. It is wonderful experience, and you can find her experience on YouTube. YouTube, if you just give a search like Anita Murzani TEDx lecture "Dying to be Me," you will find 18 minutes video, her lecture on TEDx. It is wonderful and empowering video.
I think that will help not just the learners as well as also people who are looking for help for their health.
True.
So I would like you now to switch from the mind to again what we have always spoken, connecting with yourself, upvas, as it is spoken in the Indian context, fasting. What has been your experience with fasting as a therapy?
Yeah, I would say it is double-edged sword. And I can say that if you get something like surgery in allopathy, you can get results like that with fasting in naturopathy.
Oh, wonderful.
Get wonderful results with fasting. Only thing you have to take care is about monitoring the patients quite well, monitoring about the hydration, monitoring about their urine output and other things. But it really gives wonderful results. I would share my couple of experience with patients of fasting. Initially, many people believe that you cannot apply fasting or give fasting therapy to diabetics. But with my experience, I can say we have applied a good number of, we have treated patients, good number of patients with diabetes with fasting. We used to stop their medicines when we feel that now we can stop their medicines 24 hours prior to starting fasting therapy. And we have given pure water, plain water fasting therapy to diabetics. Of course, we need to select whom to give fasting and whom not. There are indications and contraindications, but we have found very good results with diabetics also. Psoriasis, autoimmune disorders, even slip disc, prolapse intervertebral disc, and many other diseases, fasting gives wonderful results. No doubt about it. Many of the fresh naturopathic students are they fear giving fasting therapy. Of course, they need to be well versed with body physiology and how to monitor the patients with fasting, and they need to understand that. But it really gives wonderful results.
Another thing that I just wanted to check with you, you have been at a place which is influenced by Vinoba, who is the spiritual predecessor of Gandhiji. And Gandhiji is also somebody who promoted and propagated naturopathy as a system of health for masses. He said if India has to be healthy, Nisargopchar is something that everybody has to follow. But unfortunately, now when we see naturopathy centers, no commoner can actually afford to go to a naturopathy center and get the treatments. So how do you bring a balance between these two? I mean, I see on the other side of it that, the care that needs to be provided in a naturopathy center also requires a lot of investment. But where do we find a balance in terms of naturopathy as a healthcare system for masses versus what clinical naturopathy is getting practiced now?
True. A very good question, Apar, a very good suggestion for me, because primary healthcare and community health is also one of very interesting area for me. Of course, alternative healthcare and naturopathy is also there, and I have been thinking how to combine both the things for the community. As you said, that present day naturopathy is centered around naturopathy centers, and that is the biggest lacuna for promotion of naturopathy as of now. Unfortunately, another thing is also happening, that naturopathy centers are going towards spa, and that is, I would say, it's doom for naturopathy. So if we do not take care of this and do not stick to basics of naturopathy, only spa culture in naturopathy will cause damage to naturopathy. We need to understand that what is naturopathy is all about. Basically, naturopathy is living a natural lifestyle. That is the most important part of naturopathy. And when you get the disease, you need to listen to your body. साथ में थोड़ा सा संयम बरतना पड़ेगा. अभी if you are not feeling hungry or whatever signs the body is giving you, you need to listen to that, and whatever it says, you need to obey to your body or nature. And if you just allow your body to work upon itself, most of the problems are solved at that level. There are certain basic therapies using Panchamahabhutas, they definitely help, but we need to keep them as simple as the patient feel comfortable with that. Going for various kinds of hydrotherapies or jacuzzis and all that are also damaging for naturopathy. If we just keep simple things, simple enemas and massage and steam bath and maybe hip bath or mud packs, mud therapy, simple things like that, probably you can practice naturopathy at quite in a cost-effective way. So this is what I would say about center-based naturopathy. And we also need to go for community. There are many persons who cannot afford to spend time to go to a naturopathy center and maybe spend 10 days, 15 days or so. And we need to find out what we can do for them, what kind of program can be there for them. Maybe with some kinds of natural treatments, some kinds of maybe herbs that can be used, some kind of maybe simple Ayurvedic formulations can be combined with that. And a combination of these things can definitely help to promote naturopathy in a community level. So, and it requires to be done a lot of work in this area. Of course, we have not been able to do much in this area, but it requires to be done. If we really want to flourish naturopathy in the community or society or in our country, this is one area we really have to work for this.
That is really something that all of us need to think about. You personally are somebody who is also into community health and health education. So what is the role of patient education in today's healthcare? A lot of times we see that, these days there are long queues in front of the OPDs and IPDs that people have, and doctor unfortunately does not really have time to spend with their patients. But I'm sure patient education is something very, very important in healthcare. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah. See, basically in naturopathy, we rely more on self healing power of our body. At the same time, we also need to educate person how to listen to his or her body, what messages the body is trying to give. And we also need to understand or make the patient understand that these simple things can make wonder. Unless the person is confident about these simple things, he or she will feel that, oh, this is something very simple and it's not going to work. He will not have confidence in naturopathy. So basically, to make people understand that this works, you need to definitely give them about certain case studies, your experiences and all that. We also need to make them understand about the basic principles of naturopathy, and also need to take charge of their own disease and health. One of the important characteristic of naturopathy, which has attracted me to naturopathy, is that a person can take charge of his own health in their own hand with help of naturopathy. He need to understand simple rules and many simple tools, and with that he can take care of many of his problems. So I would say it is very, very important. Without health education, you can't have just patient and doctor type of relationship in naturopathy. It is not possible. We are not doctors. We are rather healers or rather persons helping patient to heal their own self. We cannot impart healing to anybody else. We can support a patient to heal their or his or her own body. And that is, I think, a crucial thing in naturopathy.
I think that is a very, very important point that you're making here, sir. The basic fundamental principles of naturopathy also tell us that the body has the ability to heal itself. All you need to do is give that environment that is required. And our job as the healthcare professionals is rather to provide that chance for the body to recover, and that is where patient education as well as the therapies that we impart are going to play a very, very important role.
True.
So in that context, how is your institution, the Nisargopchar Ashram at Gotri Vadodara, what activities are you doing other than just having the typical naturopathy center? How is it different or similar to other centers? Or why should people come to you?
I would not say why they should come to us. I would say what we are doing something unique about naturopathy here that will probably help others to apply in their own centers, and maybe there can be hundreds of centers like this which can provide holistic healthcare to patients and can benefit, many patients can benefit with that. But see, most of us know about routine naturopathy centers. We have a kitchen, we have yoga centers or yoga halls, and we have naturopathic treatments and all that. We have all these basic facilities here. Other than that, we have full-time physiotherapists, because most of the patients coming in naturopathy centers, many of them have orthopedic problems. So proper trained physiotherapists really helps a lot. And many of naturopathy centers do have physiotherapists in their centers. Acupressure, acupuncture, they work on energy healing, are also being, we utilize those tools here. But other than that, we have a full-time, a part-time counselor with us and a hypnotherapist with us, because we really want to work more in the area of mind. And I believe that almost all the patients, when they come with some kind of physical ailments, there are some strings attached with the mind and emotions which is causing this particular disease. We need to understand those strings and to take care of the strings so that their mind also becomes healthy. And unless their mind becomes healthy, their body is not going to be healthy for a long time. So this is something probably uncommon in many of the naturopathy centers that we have been doing here. Another thing is that we are focusing more on education. We conduct regular classes for those health seekers rather than patients. We try to use the word health seeker. So we are keeping a regular lecture form for them to make them understand about various facets of naturopathy and natural living, rules of natural living and all that. And other than that, we have a separate education department with our center, where we run various types of courses for holistic and healthy living, maybe on mind and emotions and holistic way of living and all kinds of that. We also run a 250-hour course on just holistic healthy living. With my experience, I believe that there are 5 basic factors that affect our health. Most important is our diet. The another is what we call as vihara, ahara vihara, that is exercise, rest, dinacharya, rutucharya, sleep. This comes under the area vihara. The third important area I consider is mind. The fourth important area is emotion. Of course, mind and emotion go together, but we can work on both the areas separately, and there are separate tools for that. So we try to separate this third and fourth area. And the fifth area is environment. At present, we are seeing a lot of air pollutions, water pollutions, ionizing and non-ionizing radiations, land pollutions. we are getting exposed to many chemicals in our day-to-day life, and they have a great impact on our health. So we consider that these are the 5 basic factors that affect our health, and we go into detail of each of these factors, and the course is stretched to 250 hours, stretched over the full year. That is also our very well sought course from our organization. Many of the, in fact, doctors are taking, allopathic doctors, postgraduate doctors are taking this course. So
it is something very nice to understand again. The emphasis on health education and learning about how one can heal themselves and others is the key to naturopathy. If any of our viewers want to associate with you or learn from you, how do they reach out to you, and how do they connect is something that you can share with us, sir.
Yeah, we have our website. It is nisargopchar.org, www.nisargopchar.org. We also have Facebook page named as Nisargopchar Kendra. So you can search Nisargopchar Kendra Vinoba Ashram Gotri. You will find both the things, and you can get the details about our programs from the website and all that. If you want to get regular emails about our programs and all that, you can also put your email on our website. There is a place where you can enroll through your email, and you can get regular feedbacks or regular informations about our programs and all that. And of course, you can reach out to us through email.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Now, there is a question coming up from a viewer who is looking for a very specific health problem, but I would rather put it in a little more general manner for a better understanding. Can we do something for somebody who is young as say 2-year-old detected with cerebral palsy? Cerebral palsy is a neurological condition that can happen because of various reasons. Now, can we do something for these kind of children in the holistic healthcare facilities that we have?
Yeah. I would not say that we can cure this disease with naturopathic treatment, but we can definitely help a person with any condition in naturopathy, even including cerebral palsy. See, there are certain kinds of exercise we can give to this kind of persons. Change in diet will also definitely help. Maybe people in the family are stressed because of this condition. We can help them to manage their stress with, and how to accept this kind of children and how to deal with this kind of children can be done. Fasting, I would not say that, because I think specifically one person has asked about fasting in 2-year-old child. It is not possible. Most of our children, they have their nature instinct about food, and I think we should respect those instincts, and we should not cross those limits because of our own whims and whims. So fasting I would not like to do, but definitely we can help them to plan their diet, which is much healthier than what they might be taking. Even massage and acupressure might also help to this kind of patient. So we can definitely help to some extent.
Another question, probably connecting the two areas that you have been associated with. How do we connect naturopathy in pediatric population? That's a beautiful question which I had not thought about, but Anandi, one of our viewer, is asking that question. So a lot of times naturopaths are not really trained in handling young children. So how would you suggest them to learn to handle children, and what role can naturopaths play in a healthy, childhood?
Yeah, beautiful question, Anandi and Apar. See, this I have really experienced because I was practicing as a pediatrician, and many of my pediatric patients used to come to me even after I switch over to naturopathy. They had faith in me and they wanted my consultation only. And whatever I have learned with with treating while treating these kind of patients. See, most of the patients that come to a pediatrician are acute diseases like cough, cold, fever, diarrhea, and all that. And once I started learning about natural laws and naturopathy and all that, I used to advise my patients to wait for a couple of days. I used to explain them these are the high risk conditions or high risk symptoms, and if you feel any of these high risk symptoms, you immediately come to me. Otherwise, just wait. If the child is not feeling hungry and do not want to take anything, just allow him or her not to take anything and respect his whatever the signals the body is giving. In fact, I would like to share my own experience. When I was learning about naturopathy, my own daughter, she was 1 year old and she was not getting weight gain. As a pediatrician, I was a pediatrician, and my own daughter was not getting good weight gain even after 1 year. And I investigated her. Most all the reports were normal, and I was also puzzled what to do. One day, she developed diarrhea, and it was highly acidic diarrhea. Whatever stool she used to pass, and it used to when it used to fall on quota stone, it used to discolor those quota stone with white staining. She also had vomiting, and I was exposed to naturopathic understanding, so I decided I will like to wait for a few days rather than treating her vomiting and diarrhea. And I waited for a couple of days. Whatever her body wanted to do, like removing out those toxins, now we can say that it was a toxin. After that, she started putting on weight. So this kind of experience with my own family, my own children, and my patients has really increased my confidence in natural laws or signals of the nature's own signals. And when I started practicing this kind of advice to the patients, many of the patients have reported to me that those patients who were getting recurrent sickness, their frequency of sickness has gradually reduced and at times even stopped also. So this is the way we can definitely relate naturopathy or apply naturopathy to pediatric population. But before that, you need to know where you are crossing the line. If a patient is becoming dehydrated when you are treating the patient with diarrhea, you really need to intervene and correct the dehydration. Or if a patient with common cough and cold and fever is progressing to pneumonia, you really need to take care of pneumonia first rather than waiting for removing out the toxins. So that is a fine line which we should not cross. But at least if you know about what are the high risk signs and symptoms, and if we just work within that limit, it is really helpful.
I think you have also answered our next viewer's question while talking about it. Ruchita has asked, what are the contraindications of naturopathic management in pediatric population? So, defining that fine line where, what type of management do you want to choose is going to be the key.
True, Apar, and even for adults also. When we applied fasting to the adult population, at times bouts of vomiting used to occur like anything, and they used to become dehydrated also. We have given intravenous fluid in such patients along with fasting and continued fasting. We need to understand about the basic physiology, electrolyte imbalance. It should not cause electrolyte imbalance or dehydration and all that. And with that, if you can do, it really helps a lot.
I think that is a very, very important message that, the body remains the same thing, whether you're treating it with the conventional allopathic management or naturopathy, or for that matter, any other system of therapy. And therefore, taking care of your patient is the primary thing rather than what therapy do you choose.
True. Very true. In fact, that has prompted me to work for a holistic health and naturopathy. because I have always been committed to my patients, and whatever, suppose I always think that suppose I have contracted this disease, how I will like to treat my own self, what kind of treatment I will like to give to my own self. Suppose I would not like to I would take medicine, I would not like to advise those medicines to my patients also. So that is the one of
That
the
is,
important.
yeah, I
Uh,
think very simply put, but very, very nicely you have elaborated on that. You know, if I don't want to do something for myself, I should not be giving it to my patients as well.
so,
What are your thoughts about the future of healthcare? You know, you have seen the best of both worlds. So, how do you look at the future, and what is going to be the role of each of these systems? Each system basically is intending to provide better health to individual. They have their own differences in approaches, but the intention is not different anyway. So, how do you look at it? How do you bring it together?
yeah. See, each system of medicine has their own strengths and limitations, including naturopathy. We need to accept that. But what I can see is the future of healthcare. It is going to be based on three important principles. First is we need to understand that the inherent healing force of our own body. See, the body is so complex. I narrated it earlier also. The body is so complex, and no scientists have been able to crack it how exactly it works. So the best way out is to respect the way the body is working. We need to respect the inherent healing forces of our own body and to support those activities or those whatever the body wants to do it. That we need to understand and support. The second thing I feel is lifestyle management is going to be the key. Whatever you do, whether any type of therapy you want to choose, Prakrutik Jivan Shaili or natural lifestyle should be the base of any kind of therapy. Without that, you cannot cure a patient. So that is second thing. And the third thing, I would say, there has to be holistic approach. Mind and body cannot be separated at all. In fact, it is so tightly interwoven that I mean we have to take it in a unity only. And when we work in a unity, then only we get good result and long lasting results. So these are the three important principles I would say which will shape the future of medical care. And fortunately, naturopathy has a potential to imbibe all the three characteristics. It is basically inherent in naturopathy, but we need to explore it and I mean apply it in a proper way. And that is how I feel that next era is going to be for naturopathy. But at the same time, all we naturopaths need to be prepared for that. We need to learn, we need to see what are the kind of different kinds of researches are going on which support these principles and how we can apply for the benefit of naturopathy and for benefit of our patients.
I think very, very simplistically put, but you have integrated what is exactly required to be healthy in the days to come. Since you come from a pediatric background, I think the viewers are more keen on asking you some more questions on children. There are a couple of more questions which are very interesting ones, and again, sometimes controversial as well. Uh, and that is again where your background of being a pediatrician as well as a naturopathic practitioner would give them answers. The first among the questions is, what is the kind of food that you would like to provide to a child who is unable to be fed by mother's milk for some
Oh,
reason? If the mother is unable to feed the baby.
yeah, yeah. See, if mother's own milk is not available, it is a standard practice in pediatrics. Of course, many doctors may not advise that, and many people do not know about that, to give milk, human milk of another mother. And that was a practice in our India, our country, long back. Suppose a mother is not able to feed her own baby, then the baby will be given to another lactating mother, and she will feed the baby on her own breast directly from that. If it is not possible, then the milk can be extracted and given to the baby. And now we have breast milk bank also in many of the cities. They have a bank for the breast milk from other mothers, which can be supplied to those kids whose mothers are not lactating. So this is standard practice. And if it is also not available, then of course either goat's milk or cow's milk, rather than any food supplements or powders.
Okay, so going with the nature is the best way out is again what we are
Definitely,
seeing there.
definitely. We need to understand that suppose if we can give milk of a cow or a buffalo, why cannot we give human milk from another mother? That is the best way. Best thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other question is again very, very interesting, and I think probably one of the most controversial one when it comes to naturopathic practice as well. What is your take on vaccination? Because you know there are contradictory views about vaccination, and in the current situation of COVID, again, people are looking forward to vaccine. At the same time, they are also scared about it. So, what is your take on vaccines, and how does it impact?
Yeah, I would also like to share what I have done for my own children, because I always try
That
to
would be
advise
amazing.
that for others also. So I have, as a pediatrician, I have seen kids dying of tetanus. I have seen patients with pertussis and very bad conditions. I have seen patients suffering from tuberculosis like anything. So what I have done is that we need to separate disease into different chunks. One is life-threatening disease or disease that can have potentially life-threatening complications, and those diseases which can be relatively easily manageable. For life-threatening diseases, I would like to advise that children should be vaccinated. Like tetanus, they should be vaccinated. Diphtheria, they should be vaccinated. Pertussis, they should be vaccinated. But I would not like to advise them for just pneumococcal pneumonia or maybe meningococci or all that kind of, or even chickenpox also, because the chances of complications in this kind of diseases are less. So I would not like to advise for vaccinations for all the available vaccines. At the same time, life-threatening diseases, I believe that they should be vaccinated as of now.
I think you have again simplified. Simplifying things has been something that we have learned from you today, sir. You have been talking about complex things in very, very simplistic manner. And this complex issue of vaccination, where there are contradictory views and people have arguments on either sides, you have put it in very simple terms in terms of the outcome. What is going to be the outcome of vaccination is what should be seen. Thank you, sir. I think that solves a lot of questions that are there in our viewers' mind. It had been a fascinating session, understanding your journey as a pediatrician. You have taken the questions extremely well, and you have also narrated how beautifully and simplistically naturopathy and integrative medicine is going to be the future. We have to take the best of both the worlds and take care of the people. What are your parting thoughts for our viewers?
Thank you, Apar. And I would say that whatever you are doing with the new generation, young generation, is really wonderful. What we need is committed naturopaths or committed young people who can take this thought forward. So I would like to end this session with a couple of quotes. Uh, Two important persons have inspired me in this journey. One is Dr. Dean Ornish, which I told you about that, and another is Gandhiji, from which background I'm coming, uh, uh, my family background. So there are two important quotes. I would like to share my screen. Yeah, just please wait.
Yes, you can do that, sir.
Yeah, my screen is visible, Apar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So This is very important quote from Dr. Dean Ornish, who has been founder of Preventive Medical Research Institute in California and clinical professor of medicine in University of California. He says that people often think that the advances in medicine have to be a new drug, a new laser, or a surgical intervention to be powerful, something really high-tech and expensive. They often have a hard time believing that the simple choices that we make in our lives each day, what we eat, how we respond to our stress, whether or not we smoke, how much we exercise, and the quality of our relationships can make such a powerful difference in our health, our well-being, and our survival, but they often do. These are the simple things, day-to-day things, but has important influence on our well-being and even our own survival also. And another quote from Gandhi ji, आहार विहार की गलतियों को दूर किए बिना केवल हवा पानी से सुधारने से रोग मुक्त होने की इच्छा करना वैसा ही है जैसा किसी चीज को साफ पानी से धोकर फिर गंदे कपड़े से पोंछना। और इन दोनों को, आहार विहार की गलतियां और हवा पानी को सुधारे बिना दवाइयों से स्वस्थ होने की इच्छा रखना ऐसा मानने के समान है कि गंदे कपड़े को काला रंग देने से वह साफ हो जाता है। These are so appealing quotes to me, and I am amazed that this person who was not a medical doctor, how he could think about this about 100 years ago, but it is so applicable today.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is, I think, to sum up the whole thing that you have spoken. You have just spoken of these two people. That had been indeed a amazing session and a lot of learning for all of us here. I'm sure the viewers also have enjoyed our chat with Dr. Bharat Shah, and I would suggest our viewers to visit Dr. Bharat Shah's center. Also look at the website and go through the educational programs that he and his team has been offering for promoting health. If you have not subscribed to our channel, I would suggest you to subscribe to our channel so that we bring in these health related updates every week, every time. And I would like to thank on behalf of Prayas as well as Own Your Growth as well as Kalya Health to Dr. Bharat Shah for spending his valuable time conveying beautiful message in a very, very simple language, in a language that can be perceived by anybody. You don't have to be a medical student to understand what Dr. Bharat has spoken today. In very simple terms, health simplified by Dr. Bharat Shah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Apar and the team. And I would also like to invite those who are committed in naturopathy and wants to practice holistic healthcare. They can reach to us, and if necessary, they want to come with us, stay with us, learn from us. Most welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And I'll meet all of you with another doctor with a difference next week, next Tuesday, similar time. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.